Thank you and welcome back to our final agenda item for today. We are moving on to 5.5, other emergent issues impacting the global air navigation system, including unmanned aircraft systems, drones, and supersonic and commercial space operation. We have displayed the papers to be presented. I would like to invite the Secretariat to present working paper 13.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. Working paper 13 presents an overview of emerging issues that may impact global air navigation system. It provides details on two new types of operations, the growing sector related to commercial space transport, and the reintroduction of supersonic transport for civil use. While they are not in regular operations today, it is important to consider and monitor these developments as these operations may become regular before the next Air Navigation Conference. The action by the conference is in paragraph 3. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Secretariat. Working paper 41 is relevant to this discussion but was already presented in agenda item 5.3, so we will not request that it be presented again. So I now ask Singapore to present working paper 232.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Singapore, I would like to present a paper on application of artificial intelligence to air traffic management. Singapore would like to highlight the potential of digital technologies, in particular artificial intelligence, or AI, that can be used to accelerate fulfillment of the air traffic management goal of the Global Aviation Navigation Plan, GNAP. This can be realized through the purposeful engagement of research, academia, industry, and navigation service providers, and regulatory bodies to facilitate a globally coordinated approach to further develop the global aviation system. The GNP and the Aviation System Block upgrades ASBU framework in particular provides a comprehensive plan tool for states to identify potential performance improvements available today. It articulates the necessary procedures, systems, training, and regulatory approvals of each element. Nonetheless, the GNP is informed by demonstrative activity and the ongoing development of technology. In support of the evolution of the GNP, ICAO hosted the second GANIS in December 2017, which provided an industry-wide snapshot of developments and current trends. However, there is currently a rapid evolution of other technologies and sectors which can potentially disrupt the aviation industry. Of these, AI is one such development whereby a globally coordinated approach could ensure that developments are coherent with the needs of aviation, consistent with regulatory principles, and implemented in a harmonized manner. Specific to AI, which is different from standard software system in its ability to learn, improve, and predict, capabilities today are proliferating across the transport sector. Similar applications in air traffic management can boost productivity by enhancing decision-making and optimize strategies at a level unmatched by procedures of traditional algorithms. Singapore is working with her Air Traffic Management Research Institute to develop an air traffic controller's decision assistance tool that will provide advisories to organize traffic flows and reduce the need and workloads for tactical interventions. Early results have been positive, and our machine learning algorithms can produce data-driven predictive capabilities with accuracy above 70% with only 1 month of data. Other applications and benefits include data-driven traffic synchronization, optimization of runway throughput, and use of speech recognition to detect readback, hearback errors. Despite the potential benefits of imaging technologies and applications in aviation, there are challenges pertaining to awareness, understanding, and expertise that are necessary for standardization and implementation. There is therefore a need to align aviation stakeholders from research, industries, states, and service providers to shepherd further development of the global air navigation system. Singapore would like to invite the committee to consider the actions contained in the executive summary. In particular, the request for ICAO to establish a means to facilitate the sharing of information and research between the aviation community. Thank you.
Thank you, Singapore. Now ask Council to present working paper 178.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon again to you all. Commercial space operations are becoming more prevalent, with commercial space operators planning to increase the frequency and variety of launches. As these operations enter controlled airspace, they can be treated in one of two ways. They can be managed as hazards, which must be blocked off and mitigated, or they can be incorporated into the civil aviation system with minimal airspace restrictions by adopting and maintaining an effective safety management system, using the standards and recommended practices outlined in ICAO Annex 19. CANSO feels the best approach to the safe integration of commercial space operation into existing airspace is to have these operators adopt robust SMS, which can proactively address and mitigate risks. This can only be achieved if ICAO includes space and near-space operators in Annex 19 and the guidelines in Doc 9859 at Safety Management Manual. However, this does not mean that the complete SARPs in Annex 19 would be applicable to commercial space operators. CANSO suggests that the existing ICAO Space Learning Group will investigate how commercial space operators can adapt to the principal and most important SMS elements of Annex 19 and Doc 9859 to allow safe integration into the aviation system. For this reason, CANSO asked the conference to advise ICAO that commercial space and near-space operations should fall under the scope of Annex 19, similar to the proposed provision to be included in Annex 19 and Doc 9859 for remotely piloted aircraft as now is planned for 2020. Further, I would like to support working paper 299 that will be introduced now after I'm finished, regarding the establishment of a specific risk model for those operations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. May I see support for this paper to be discussed? Thank you. Ayata, you're invited to present working paper 299.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. Within the last 2 years following the 39th Assembly, the activities surrounding commercial space launches have grown astronomically. IATA presents this working paper in order to make a very simple request. We believe the need for ICAO to begin developing guidance material and laying the foundations for standards related to the safe and orderly operation of spacecraft and other aircraft transiting civil airspace to and from higher altitudes has arrived. As we all know, these activities are only increasing in frequency. We are very concerned over those activities and the ability to maintain a safe and efficient operating environment without the development of agreed upon standards. In doing so, IATA acknowledges that any changes that may be necessary to airspace design should not alter the delegation of airspace given to a state, nor determine what level of services are provided. Although IATA is not in favor of restricting the advancement of this industry, we are extremely interested in ensuring that these activities take place within the construct of standards and best practices that hold safety as the top priority and provide for efficient use of airspace. Recommendation from this working paper can be found in section 3.1. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May I see support for this paper to be discussed? Thank you. I ask you to note working information papers 51, 161, 192, 205, 211, and 272. I request any clarification from the Secretary. Okay, there is no clarification from the Secretariat. The floor is open for discussion. Portugal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Portugal welcomes Working Paper 13, presented by the Secretariat, and supports the recommendations proposed. However, and with reference to Recommendation B on supersonic transport, we want to emphasize that supersonic operations should comply with agreed environmental policies and standards. It is therefore our opinion that no new technical policies or regulatory provisions should be discussed until this aspect has been taken into account and the necessary provisions to cover it are properly defined. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Norway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Norway would like to express our support to Working Paper 299 as presented by IATA, IFALPA, and IFATCA. We welcome guidance material and the provisions of best practice resources aiding states in a more consistent approach to establishing optimized airspace protection in a timely manner applicable to commercial space operations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Austria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Austria fully supports the recommendations presented in Working Paper 232 by Singapore and the important future topic of artificial intelligence. It aligns well with our European Working Paper 41 related to the significant increase in automation for RPAS and the need to early address the enabling digital technologies in relation to operational concepts such as trajectory-based operations. This substantially increase of the need of capacity in ATM without significantly increasing the demand on the limited human resources and cognitive capabilities of air traffic controllers could be supported by using artificial intelligence applications with decision-making capabilities within complex environments. Already, Agenda Item 1 addressed the importance of the human dimension towards higher levels of automation and autonomous operations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Singapore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following comments from Singapore are relevant to Item 5 in general and specifically Item 5.5. Singapore fully appreciates the challenges to air traffic management posed by the rapid evolution of technology, as this agenda item has clearly illustrated. Many industries have been disrupted by technology, and very often for the better. Aviation will not be that different. This is also the underlying theme of this Navigation conference. As aviation is highly regulated, and for good reasons, the regulatory process needs to be able to facilitate the positive enhancements from technology. In this regard, Singapore would like to urge ICAO to identify new and innovative methods for global aviation standards development. While industry stakeholders benefit from certainty in establishing their long-term business strategies, these are clearly times of change. On the one hand, the industry stakeholders seek agility and rapid prototyping capability. On the other, there's a need to maintain high levels of transparency and appropriate harmonization with member states. To better meet all these needs inclusively, Singapore believes that ICAO should evaluate and develop appropriate improvements to the existing standards-making methodology, including what must be harmonized and what can be left free to change, or some middle path that can allow us to quickly harness technology in order to achieve and advance civil aviation. Thank you.
Thank you. Singapore, Italy.
Mr. Chairman, we support working paper 178 presented by CANSO as the new entrance operations, in particular their interface with ATM, will need to be addressed by ICAO to ensure safe and orderly operations. The SMS framework in itself should not hamper the innovation or restrict development, and we agree with the clarification brought by CANSO while presenting the paper. Indeed, Annex 19 applies in principle to mature operations and not necessarily directly to the development of new types of operations. We support the CANSO proposal for investigation by the ICAO Space Learning Group how commercial space can adapt to the principles and most important elements of Annex 19 and Doc 9859 to allow safe integration with the aviation system. Thank you.
Thank you. Italy, United States.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a general intervention and then interventions on two of the papers. The United States appreciates the growing interest in commercial space transportation. However, we believe it is very premature for any entity or state to engage in the development of international rules related to suborbital space flights. The current framework enables commercial space launch and re-entry operations even as the pace of these operations grow year after year. Further, the U.S. believes that any attempt to develop international rules relating to suborbital spaceflights could unintentionally complicate and potentially hinder the growth of this industry. At the present time, we see national space regulation that focus on the safety of operations and deconflicting the uses of airspace as the appropriate means of regulating this emerging industry. For these reasons, we do believe it is premature to develop guidance materials or other such products by ICAO and UN-USA, but welcome the continued dialogue on this subject. Mr. Chairman, with respect to Working Paper 178, the United States acknowledges that Annex 19 is of significant importance to this well-established aviation community and fully agrees with the premise of this annex as applied to aviation. Nevertheless, we would like to remind this conference that there are significant differences between commercial space operations and aviation operations. The U.S. has codified these differences in U.S. law under Titles 51 and 49, respectively, as referenced in Working Paper 272. And given these differing authorities, the U.S. believes it is premature to consider the application of Annex 19 to commercial space transportation at this time. We see national regulation focusing on the safety of operations and deconflicting with other uses of airspace as the appropriate means of regulating the emerging industry. Despite these differences, however, and given the U.S. strong support for SMS and aviation, we have incorporated significant aspects of safety management approach into existing U.S. regulations on commercial space transportation. I'm also happy to advise this conference that our work to streamline the regulatory framework for licensing of launches and re-entries further incorporates elements of SMS. And we will continue to work with our aviation and space colleagues in this regard. Mr. Chairman, on the topic of Working Paper 299, the United States fully supports the sharing of best practices to increase knowledge and safety of commercial space operations. However, we feel the development of provisions, the development of a specific risk model, and the establishment of an optimized protected debris field to address these new operations, as noted in Working Paper 299, are premature for the current state of the commercial space industry. I would also like to advise this conference that in the U.S., we have brought together aviation and space communities to explore options to potentially define criteria to more effectively integrate commercial space transportation into the U.S. national airspace system. We look forward to sharing the outcomes of these deliberations as they are accepted by the FAA at future ICAO events. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. Japan?
Thank you, Chairman. Regarding working paper 232 by Singapore, so author mentioned Japan would like to support. So the author mentioned it is necessary to promote R&D regarding digitized ATM enhanced technology such as AI is needed for future consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. And I'm seeing no more interventions. Okay, one moment, please. Okay, summary conclusions for 5.5 in regards to working papers 41, 232, 178, and 299. The committee noted the emergence of commercial space operations and the emergence of supersonic transport. It agreed that the international aviation community should ready itself in a timely manner and emphasized the need to take into full account the impact new entrants may have on the existing airspace users. For the area of commercial space, it agreed that the close cooperation with other relevant UN bodies should be strengthened. The committee also recognized the emergence of the use of tools utilizing artificial intelligence in the air traffic management sector and agreed to closely monitor the developments. The committee also recognized the need to identify enhancements to the standards making process to keep up with the rapid technological development. Are there any remarks to the summary? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, we have a half an hour, so we're just trying to find something else to do. Okay, so tomorrow we will start with agenda item 5.1, and then we'd like to review working papers 303 and 304. Those are the draft reports. So we have been very good today, and I wish to wish you all a very good afternoon. See you tomorrow.